Hey everybody, welcome back to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com, and here on my YouTube channel. And this time out, we're going to talk about the top 5 advantages to working all digital versus working analog. A few weeks back, I did a video on top 5 advantages of working all analog over digital. You can check out that video by clicking the link in the description box below. This time we're going to go the other way because we're fair and balanced here. We're going to talk about the 5 advantages of working all digital as opposed to working analog. Coming right up. Okay everybody, welcome back to the channel. So make sure before we get started you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also if you want to support the channel and you like what I do here, please consider hitting the thanks button just beneath this video. Also, if you want to learn more about my mixing and mastering services and have your music mixed on an SSL console, check out mixingmusicanalog.com. Links will be in the description box below. So, top 5 advantages of working digital over analog. Really interesting. I'll be interested to hear what you think when you write your comments below. So let's get into the first advantage of working digital over analog. Number 1, number one advantage of working digital over analog is it's a heck of a lot cheaper, right? It is extremely affordable in today's day and age as I sit here in year 2022 and really over the last 10 or 15 years, where for a very low cost of entry, you can record great sounding music in the spare bedroom of your home for a fraction of what it costs to do this in the analog domain. You can literally buy a laptop and buy a small little interface for just a few $100s, and for less than $500, you could be recording great music in your home studio. In the analog world, it costs a lot more money to record music. Now you can say that one sounds different or better than the other. That's the argument for another video, but it is so much less expensive. And that is a huge advantage for people who want to be able to record at home and don't have the means or even the space to put this huge console and huge racks amounts of gear in your home studio. You gotta remember, 20 years ago, if you wanted to record music, you had to go to a big studio. You had to find your local studio that had a console, that had racks of gear. Maybe they had the very early versions of Pro Tools and some digital recording, but everything was done with analog equipment. Not so today, and not so for at least the last 10 years. You could do everything at home at a fraction of the cost. Pennies on the dollar. That is a huge advantage to working digital over analog. Advantage number 2 to working digital over analog, I kind of alluded to it in the last point, it takes a lot less space. Look at the size of this thing. Look at the size of that thing. You need a whole room dedicated in your house to be able to put this stuff in it. Again, when you work digital, you could do everything with a very little amount of space. You could literally set up on a tiny little table with a laptop and interface and a set of headphones. That's all you really need. You don't need to worry about having a whole room dedicated in your home to having this big equipment. So it takes up a lot less room, which is great because you can really set up and record anywhere, in a bedroom, in your kitchen, in your basement, in your bathroom. You can record anywhere you want. Very easy to do. Much smaller space, doesn't take up a lot of room, and it's scalable. You don't have to get something this big to record music when you're working in the digital domain. Advantage number 3 to working all digital versus analog is you really don't have any limitations. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, in the digital audio workstation in your DAW, you can literally record hundreds of tracks, right? 200 tracks, 300 tracks, 400 tracks. The tracks are endless. In the analog world, you have a limited amount of tracks depending on how many preamps and how many inputs you have on your console. Not so in the digital domain. You also have unlimited amount of plugin choices. You can buy hundreds, and I know people that have thousands of plugins in their system. They're not all free, but they're at a lot less cost than buying thousands of pieces of hardware. Nobody has thousands. You have limited choices in the analog world. In the digital world, you really have unlimited choices, and you can search around for all the different plugins, the ones that you like. You can search around for different DAWs for the one that you like. You don't have to settle on any one thing. When you have like an SSL console, you have the sound of an SSL. It doesn't sound like an Eve. It doesn't sound like an API. It sounds like an SSL. In the digital world, if you have an SSL channel strip on Monday, that's great. And on Tuesday, if you want an API sound, you can use an API channel strip. And on Thursday, if you want a Neve sound, you can use a Neve channel strip. A lot of advantages to doing that in the digital domain. So there's no limitations. The only limitations you have is what's up here and what's between those two ears of yours. That's it. So another big advantage to working digital, limitations. There really are none. Advantage number 4 to working digital versus analog, and this is a big one, and a lot of you guys have said this in comments on other videos, is the ability to instantly recall your session. In the digital world is a snap. It's the easiest thing in the world. There's nothing to it versus analog where everything is done in a very manual way. So in the digital world, you can work on a session, close the session, 2 days later, open up that song file and everything snaps back to exactly where you left off. You can work on multiple projects a day in the digital world, open and close sessions all day long, and as soon as you open them up, they're right where they were when you left them off the last time you were working on them. You can't do that in the analog world. In the analog world, you really have to make a commitment where you start a project, you finish a project, you make a commitment, then you move on. Yes, you can recall in the analog world, but it takes a lot longer. You either have to manually write everything down and or take photos of all your equipment with all your settings, and then you actually have to use that information to go back and manually set up all your analog gear. It takes an enormous amount of time. It's not as easy, and you don't have the luxury of working on 2 or 3 projects in a single day. But you do in the digital world when you have instant recall. Recall is not an issue when you're working all digital. So that's another advantage to working all digital over analog. And number 5 for this video, top advantage to working all digital versus analog is it's mobile and it's portable, which is another huge advantage. As I said, advantage number 1, you could do everything today on a small little laptop, a little 2-channel interface, a set of headphones, you slap it in your bag, you could go on a plane, you could go in a hotel room, you could record in different parts of your house, you could go to Starbucks, you could go anywhere and record and mix and work on music because it's so portable and it's so easy to bring around with you in just a simple backpack. You can't do that with a console. You can't do that with analog equipment. You have to find a place, set it up, and kind of leave it there because you don't want to be moving around a 450-pound analog console everywhere you go. So it's a huge advantage. If you are someone that's on the road or likes to travel and wants to bring their studio with you, it is so easy to do in the digital world. You can't do that in the analog world. So it's a huge advantage when you're working all digital to be able to bring your mobile studio anywhere you want to go. So that's it. So that's my top 5 advantages to working digital over analog. I'd love to know what you think below in the comment section. What other advantages do you find with digital over analog? I know there's many more than 5. Write in the comments below, share your opinions with me. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you did not see the video on my 5 advantages of working analog over digital, that video link will be in the description box below as well. Once again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell people about Mixing Music Analog. Check out what I have going on. All the links will be in the description box below. Don't forget to go to mixingmusicanalog.com and check out my mixing and mastering services. And until the next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. Thank you so very much for watching and listening to me today, and I'll talk to you guys really soon.